large keys on keyboards have a tendency to rattle. They have these metal stabilizer bars so that you can press them evenly, but they don't tend to be fitted very well, so they're a bit loose and they rattle. Almost all keyboards do this. I'll show you how to fix it. This is for mechanical keyboards, but it actually works for non-mechanicals as well, usually. Well, let's hear this keyboard rattle. This is a cheap mechanical keyboard whose only outstanding features is hot swap sockets, enabling me to pull out switches without having to desolder them. Now I'm just going to yonk off the keycaps and pull out the switches so that we can get started. Now there's a few things we're going to need at this point. We need, as well as keycap pullers and switch pullers and anything like that, the most important thing we need is a paintbrush and some grease. And the kind of grease that we are after is dielectric grease. What's that? Well, here's some. Dielectric grease appears to be quite expensive, but really you don't need very much. There's enough in a 9-gram tube to do hundreds, thousands of boards. This is Krytox GPL 205, the most expensive thing that you could use, and what I'm using. Now, here's a close-up of a stabilizer. Have a look here. See these clips? That's what holds it to the board. So now, using a couple of pointy pokey things, I'm going to push the little tab in. I've got another pokey things underneath to help lever it up. Some come out more easily than others. These are cheap, nasty stabilizers. They're not Cherry or Co-Star or any of the good ones. And find some of these come out easily, some don't. Now, you'll find when you lift them up like that, you expose the metal bar, which you can then pull up. There you go. There's the stabilizer out in one. It's the same for all of them. Some come out more easily than others. See, this one's coming out just with my fingers. Well, one side is. You just angle them up, slide them so that the bar comes free, and pull them out. That is it. It's quite easy. The space bar is probably the most notable one because it's got a much bigger slot, but even so, it's still pretty easy to get out. Here we go. Clip, clip. And we're just going to grab and angle it out. And there we go. Stick around and later on I'll show you what to do without removing switches or if you don't have hot swap sockets. Okay, these are the stabilizers. Now that we've removed them from the keyboard, you'll see they're just a couple of plastic clips with a piece of metal wire, sort of U-shaped piece in between. Each of the little plastic clips comes in 2 parts. Now, the first thing you need to do is get the wire separated from the clip. There is a little retaining lip on them. All of them are like this. So you need to just squidge it until it comes free. I'll just show you up close. This is a little clip that holds the wire, and you're just going to pop that out. It's easy to do, and once you've done it a couple of times, it's really easy to do. Once you've got the wire popped out of the little retainer, there you can see, you can just slide the plastic bit off. Be careful when you do it because the plastic bits are in 2 pieces and they fall apart really easily, and you can put things in the wrong way around. Right, get the other end out, and there's our metal bar. Now, there we go. Here's our plastic bit separated into 2 parts. I'm going to use a tiny amount of lubricant, and I do mean a tiny amount. Just wipe off all excess, and then we're going to run around the inside of the main housing. Just give it a run around with the brush, and the brush is relatively dry. There's not a lot on there at all. And we're going to do the same with the slider shaft in a minute. Now it's very important to notice which way round the little shaft goes, because if you put it in the wrong way round, when you're putting it back together again, the stabilizer won't function correctly. So take note which way round it actually goes. Right, we do the same on the other side. We lubricate the inside of the housing, and then we're going to lubricate the shaft. Doing the shaft is the hardest bit, whether you hold it in your fingers or you stick it down to the table and paint round it. Whatever you find works best for you, but you don't want to get grease all over your fingers. Now you clean off the metal bar. These, if you're lucky, come pre-lubricated. If you're unlucky, like these cheap nasty ones, they come with no lubrication whatsoever. Just give them a rub to get them clean. Now we're going to apply some lubricant just to the bits where it's going to be touching things. So a corner and a little bit sticking out. That's basically it. Just paint it on, not much, just a tiny amount. Spread it out evenly and thinly. You don't want any drops hanging off it. And really, it's fairly easy. Just do one side, because you're going to insert that back into the housing. Now, the housing's actually got a hole in it for the bar to slide into. You can just about see it, the sort of bottom hole here. You want to slide the bar in there and check to see that you've got it actually all the way in. If you've got it in the right place, then you're going to snap the bar back into the plastic housing that you snapped it out of initially. Get it in there, just a little twist, and there we go. Also, once you've got the bar in position, if you just twist that bar, the housing, well, the shaft in the housing should rise up and down like that. See? Check to make sure that happens. And now you're going to do the same with the other side. Right, that's perfectly easy. We've got a whole stabiliser done now, done both sides. You might want at this point, if you're not sure about whether you wipe some of the lubricant off, just to give a little dab onto the ends of the bar. I just kind of do it for luck. Then we're going to insert it back into the board, the reverse of how we took it out. So you angle it down, slip the metal bar underneath, get it into position. When it seems right, just pop down the sides, and you'll see those little clips pop out and hold it in place. Done. Easy. Alright, I'm just going to slap the switches back in place. And we're pretty much done. Right, so what happens if you don't have a hot swap keyboard, or you can't unsolder the springs, or you have a non-mechanical keyboard? Well, just paint your stabilisers with this lube. Try and slip the brush in the gaps. Try and get it between the shaft and its housing. And realistically, that will actually do it. Even on non-mechanical keyboards with their stabilisers, you can slip a brush in and just dab away just a little bit. And that will help reduce this rattle. It is the single best and easiest improvement you can make to just about any keyboard. It works best on mechanical ones. It works best on ones where you can either pull out the switches or you have the time to unsolder them. But okay, let's slap everything back together again, and we'll do the same sound test as earlier. The microphone is at the same settings, the sound in the editor is at the same settings, so listen in. So, what a difference. Possibly the backspace key could do with a little bit more work, but yeah. There are links below to some greases. They're not affiliate links. I ain't getting scratched from the man for this. It's a very simple, very easy thing to do to your keyboard. It takes 5 minutes, and it makes a world of difference. Until next time, ta-ra.